So just crossed the 5-minute mark now away from the planned release of HTV5. Targeted to come at 10:20 a.m. Central Time this morning. And the vehicle delivered almost 5 tons of supplies to the International Space Station. Definitely one of the larger vehicles in the fleet currently carrying cargo up to the orbiting laboratory. The vehicle itself having both a pressurized and an unpressurized section, very much like the commercial vehicle, the SpaceX Dragon, able to carry external payloads, and an unpressurized section for installation on the outside of the International Space Station. So not only bringing up supplies and experiment equipment for the crew on board, but also bringing up experiments exposed to the vacuum of space for additional research. HTV5 delivering a new electron telescope, going to be searching for through high energy particles, taking data, searching for the origins or evidence of dark matter, also the origins of cosmic rays. That already installed out on the external portion of the space station, over on the external platform outside of the Japanese experiment module. Also on board, though, with this vehicle was just over 8,000 pounds of pressurized cargo. Among that, over 3,000 pounds of crew supplies, basically food, other items like clothing for the crew on board, about 1,900 pounds of vehicle hardware, spares, and other items. Among them was a new galley rack, basically a new a rack, the International Space Station using telephone booth-sized racks, basically enclosures where they can store research projects on board the station. Both of those being installed by the crews on board. HTV5 also delivering over 2,700 pounds of what we call utilization, basically hardware and samples for ongoing experiments with the station. As many as 250, usually over that, experiments running for every 6-month mission that is typical for these astronauts on board. Over 1,700 investigations completed so far in the space station's lifetime. Over 80 countries around the globe contributing to these experiments. So HTV5 delivering a lot of work for the Expedition 44 and 45 currently on board crews, and getting ready to say farewell today, though. We are 1 minute 45 seconds away from that planned release. And now under 1 minute away from a release of HTV5. And now under 20 seconds away from the open of the window for the release. And now standing by. This a view right down the business end of the space station's robotic arm. You can see still attached to HTV-5, standing by for that release. The window now open.
To ground 2 so that you're on a loop. Time. And I concur. We have a capture blue. We see that. And how do you copy, Kimia? Hot backup switch to backup in lab workstation. Okay, this is Kimia. Hot backup work, lab workstation to backup. Good copy. Yes, and backup complete right now. RWS status in lab backup. We copy that, Kimia. Thank you. And Koichi, if you said something, we were kind of moving around, say again. Yeah, we saw cupola backup, cupola workstation in the backup status in. We see that on the ground, and that's a good config. Okay.
So the two crew members on board, Kamiya Yui and Chell Ingren, reporting they got a break message from the space station's robotic arm. So the team's down here on the ground working through some quick troubleshooting steps, getting them back into a good configuration for the release of HTV-5. So for right now, the crew on board standing by for the release. This team's here continue a couple of quick troubleshooting steps. Again, just getting them back into a good configuration.
This time we will like you to move the cupola RWS back to active.
Okay, copy. That's in work. On 2, cupola RWS is active.
We see that, Chell. Thank you.
So again, the crew on board and the robotics officer here in Houston registering a break command from the space station's robotic arm, delaying the release of HTV-5 for a little while. They've reconfigured the robotics workstation inside of the cupola, where Japanese astronaut Kimiya Yui and NASA astronaut Kjell Lindgren are standing by for the release. For now, they're working any additional troubleshooting steps. The lighting window for this release still open for another 33 minutes, so there will be ample time for this HTV, this unmanned cargo craft, to be released. But for now, just making sure the attitudes and everything else are checked out correctly before proceeding with the release of the vehicle as they continue. Public channel. If you switch over to the media channel, you'll be able to continue following with today's release activity. But again, just a reminder, that switch coming at the bottom of the hour in just about a minute in change from now at 10:30 a.m. Central Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. For now, though, we're going to continue to monitor HTV-5 as the teams troubleshoot a couple of quick items and get this robotic arm primed and ready for release.
I'm Ian Ziering, and you're watching NASA Television.